Welcome to our Monday, August 2nd board meeting. If you'll join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome to our Monday, August 2nd board meeting. If you'll join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to remind everyone that there are sign-up sheets in the back of the room. You must be signed up and all information on the sheets. Welcome to our Monday, August 2nd board meeting. If you'll join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So with that, we'll move on to our agenda. Approval, deletions, additions, and
Thank you, Mrs. Susan.
I'd like to remind everyone that there are sign-up
workstations, and it relates to Roman numeral 7B4, those professional development dates. The alteration to the school calendar that's been previously published has an amendment that we're asking you to approve under Mrs. Mooch's section.
Do we have a motion? So moved. We have a motion by Dr. Malco. Second. Second by Mrs. Kelly. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed, same sign? Motion passes. Thank you. Mr. Marshall, is there any correspondence?
I have none to report. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move on to our liaison committee updates. Mr. Marshall.
Personnel committee, I'll pass on that. Nothing to report.
Thank you. Mrs. Kelly?
Nothing to report this evening.
Thank you. Dr. Medlin?
Nothing to report tonight.
Dr. Malco?
Lake Central Education Foundation will be meeting next week, and Legislative Committee, I have nothing to report.
Thank you. And the only thing I have report for my two committees is Dollars for Scholars. We are gearing up for homecoming, so if you're interested, reach out for Dollars for Scholars, Mrs. Resnick, and we'll get you connected. So we'll move on to our official school board business topics consent agenda. Dr. Veraco.
Thank you again. Seek a board approval for the minutes from our executive session on July 12th, as well as our regular board meeting on July 12th, and then approval of the claims, payroll, and extracurricular expenditures you received in your packets last week.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Marshall.
Second.
Second by Dr. Medlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Motion passes. Do we have any public?
President Suze,
Thank you. Yes.
are we amending the agenda?
No. So the papers that were just handed to me, those, I'm assuming these would be for the,
Item 7A.
yes. So hearing that, seeing that there are no public comments regarding action items, we will move on to our official school board business topics, regular agenda. Dr. Veraco.
Yeah, thank you, but I just want to clarify that you will be taking comments after I talk about the return to school guidance.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
And then the board, assuming the board makes a motion. If the board doesn't make a motion to approve, it would die on its own.
Correct.
Okay, very good. So for my regular agenda item, I just want to try to fill in some gaps for our audience, both here and at home, and want to begin by reminding everybody that regardless of how they feel about any of the components of that plan that was posted last week, that our recommendations are based on a strong desire to keep students as safe as possible and in school. We do recognize that some learning loss took place, more so for other districts than our children, but it happened here too, and we want to minimize that impact on our students, and staying in person helps us to do that. We believe the plan sets some realistic protocols for conducting in-person schooling in a safe manner. Back at our July 12th public board meeting, we were leaning toward recommending, optional on all masks or face coverings for our students at school. So the remainder of these comments will be to try to share how those data points have changed in 3 weeks. We know from the past, from last year's experience that the increases in the number of cases can happen quickly. So since July 12th, we have seen a surge in COVID cases in Indiana. As of last Wednesday, we were down to 30 out of 92 counties in blue, which for us, blue indicates a low level of infection in the community. And so, to fully disclose, Lake County, as of last Wednesday, we were still in blue. But we do expect to be yellow or orange this Wednesday when they update it. The CDC tracker, which updates more frequently than the Indiana State Department of Health website, shows that Lake County from July 26th through August 1st, which was yesterday, is listed in the substantial increase category with a 6.5% positivity rate, which for us, that would be on the yellow side. And that would be at this covid.cdc.gov site. Cases per 100,000 residents in Lake County were 13 at the time of our July 12th meeting, which was low. And as of today, they are at 64. So a five-fold increase in 3 weeks on that number, which the Lake County Department of Health also indicated today that would be a yellow indicator. I want to say a little bit about the survey that a lot of people have sent emails to me about to verify that we did get about 300 more votes from July 12th through the 14th. We stayed right in that same range, really almost from the second day, somewhere between 70 and 71% saying leave it up to parents, 29 to 30% saying mandate it, make it a requirement on those masks. We had a fair number of people, I wouldn't say more than 3 or 4 dozen, but wanting to change their vote. We said, look, it was only a piece of the pie. We're not going to go back and rehash that item. But they said if they would have known it was going to go up, and those comments were all one way, saying they'd rather mandate it. But it's important to know that anytime you do a survey, it represents feelings and beliefs and a decision at a certain snapshot in time. And so you can redo surveys sometimes as few as a week later and get different results. But I do appreciate people saying, hey, you asked people, so didn't it matter? Yeah, if we would have stayed at the time of July 12th, the whole state was in blue. If we would have stayed that way, then it would have had a heavier weight. I just wanted to share that so people know that, if things would have been steady, that data would have held more weight. As to some people who have commented that the idea of putting masks on student is radical for pre-K to 6 students, in our area already. Munster, Whiting, Hamady, Chicago, and Gary have mandated masks for at least unvaccinated populations, and in some cases for their entire district. Elsewhere in the state, West Lafayette, Zionsville, and Westfield, all well-respected communities, have done the same. The entire state of Illinois, who were forced to mostly e-learn last year, also have done it because they recognize the importance of trying to stay healthy and stay in school. We want to reiterate then that our top priority is to maintain in-person instruction for the entire year. And we believe, putting on a face covering to keep infection down worked last year. We believe it was a factor.
Dr. Veracco has the floor, please.
I am, as a matter of fact. Not the right kind of doctor, but I am one. So with that, I take any questions from the board.
Thank you. So, questions from the board?
So with the recommendation that you have given us, that, if I believe and understand this correctly, that would put children in a middle school setting with some grade levels with masks and some without, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yes?
Okay. I would worry about
Madam President?
I would worry about the management of that. That's just me speaking as a former school administrator. Okay, I wanted to ask that question. And then my other question is, I have not been able, okay, Lake County is a rather large county, 626 square miles. And last year, we were able to locate the positivity rate specific to Dyer, Cherville, and St. John. I cannot find that anywhere. Do you have access to that, or is it not available this year?
I've reached out to the county and have been unable to get that breakdown, as you suggest.
And that is another thing. The county is not sharing information with us as we had hoped. So I believe that the information that I'm hearing is based on a large group, the United States of America. And as you know, there's pockets in the U.S. where it's really out of control. Let's look at Florida. Let's look at Alabama. Let's look at Louisiana. I just want to share that because I believe that those areas are out of control. That's, to me, where the mask mandates would become very important. All I could do as a representative of you is check with local pharmacists, and I did. And the pharmacists that I checked with said they have not seen an increase in anything related to COVID. I checked. I did check with. I'm so sorry I have to disrupt you. Well, excuse me, but you'll have your time.
we have the floor.
You'll have your time.
The school board has the floor right now.
You'll have your time. I did check with some pharmacists in the area. One was from Highland, one was from Cherville, one was from Dyer. And I also checked with a local physician that I attend, and there had not been an increase there either. So I just lay it out there. That's the data that I have. That's what's influencing my decision. And I feel bad that there's not more data available to us, but that's what I have.
So,
Madam
Mr.
President?
Marshall, you have a question?
Right. No, I don't have a question. At this point, given Dr. Veracco's recommendations, I would like to make a motion that we accept his direction and vote on this with a following comment. Bullet number 2 under masks. Masks are required to be worn by all pre-K-6 students and pre-K-6 unvaccinated staff to start the year. And the emphasis I have is on the word start. I don't know where we're at today. I know where we're at the other day in terms of coloration and everything. However, start is a key issue because these students do not have the ability to be vaccinated. And I feel very comfortable in making that motion to move forward with this recommendation. At this point, that is my recommendation.
I second that recommendation that
Thank
we
you.
should be voting on this issue.
I call for a vote.
So,
After the comments.
Can we have a roll call? I'd like to hear my fellow board members vote.
This would be the time, Mr. Marshall, where
We
the
have-
board hears public comment.
Right.
There's a motion and a second. Please let us talk on the stage here, please. So we have a motion and a second, so now it would be appropriate to allow those people who signed in to weigh in,
Right,
to hear from them before you actually take the vote.
right.
thank you. So I would like to let everyone know that I will speak on behalf of the school board. We want to remind all guests that public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, 30 minutes total. When we are at the 30-minute mark, I will ask the board if it wants to extend the public comments portion. If we choose to extend the public comments section, but then begin to hear repeated messages and comments, we as a board reserve the right to end the public comments. If the board wishes to continue, we will do this for each 30-minute mark. We would also like to remind all audience members to maintain silence throughout the entirety of the comments being made by any individual recognized to speak this evening. Please refrain from personal attacks or derogatory statements about any school employee, fellow citizen, student, or anyone else in attendance or not. Only those who have signed the speaker sheet and provided all requested information will be called upon. I want to share that in addition to the speaker's name, I will be reading the address of the speaker being recognized to address this board. The board, as well as our audience, both here and at home, have a right to know if the speaker is a resident of St. John Township. In order to keep things moving, we will hold up a yellow card indicating to the speaker they have 15 seconds to wrap up their comments. In order to be fair to all speakers, we will adhere to the 3-minute time limit. If you ask a question and we are able to answer it, that will be part of your 3 minutes. So with that, our first speaker is Nick Stomey. Hi, I have you at 9710 Meadow Rose Lane. Is that
That's
John?
correct.
Thank you.
So I have a question here for the board tonight that I already believe was answered, but I'll ask it anyway. In June, the Lake Central administration emailed a parent survey regarding in-person learning for the upcoming school year. Can anyone tell me and the stakeholders here tonight what the results of that survey were regarding masks for the upcoming school year?
So the final total number of votes was 2,317 out of a possible 4,200 who could have voted. And it was, I believe, 70.2 or 70.4. There were a couple different numbers right at the end, but it never went below 70 and it never went above 71.
70% then were in favor of making masks optional. 70%.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a pretty substantial number, don't you think? So normally I watch the school board meetings via YouTube, and I always recall a frontline worker and a mother regularly speaking at these meetings, begging and pleading with each of you not to make a mask mandate, especially for the children. She talks about what she sees daily on the front lines, the sickness, the respiratory illness that the masks cause, not to mention the emotional and social toll that they take. So why then does this board not listen to her and to the majority of the 70% of the parents who don't want to mask their children up for this school year? And I'll quote Bill Maher as I finish. I guess sometimes we have to cover our faces so other people can cover their asses.
Lisa Kalanich. I have you at 1812 Austin Avenue, Sherrville.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Back in 2019, my son was so beyond excited to start kindergarten. I was a room mom, so I witnessed how the kids would hold hands, always be hugging, and they seemed so happy. My son was definitely happy, and he had lots of friends. Then March 2020 happened. My son, along with all the other students, were suddenly yanked out of their classrooms and told to fear some virus. The school tried e-learning, which was a complete disaster. Next school year comes, and you all force these poor children to wear a mask all day long, even during gym class and recess, which is beyond crazy. Then you all expect these children to focus and actually learn, all while wearing these hot masks and covering up their ability to breathe. Another fail from the school. And not all parents can just pick an e-learning option. Some of us are single moms who actually have to work full-time. We rely on the teachers to be teachers and teach, but they seem to be more interested in if their students' masks are on properly. My son also has an IEP, which Governor Holcomb actually stated in his executive order that children with autism do not have to mask. Have any of you actually read the mask? It states on the mask packaging how they do not prevent safety from any virus, including corona. And just an FYI, the mask obviously did not work last year. If they did, then my son wouldn't have been quarantined and missing school for 7 weeks total. None of you care about these children or their education. And now we are all supposed to fear this Delta variant, which, by the way, the symptoms are a runny nose. So now you all are pushing these experimental, non-FDA approved vaccines. You claim these vaccines are not mandatory for the students or staff, but you will definitely be segregating, and yes, I said segregating, the ones who won't take it. And what is with targeting the young ones pre-K through 6th grade? They can't get this experimental vaccine, so you are punishing them with mask. The CDC showed data reports of serious injuries following the vaccine, and this is across all age groups. It was 14,717, up to 63,000 within 1 week. This data comes from direct reports submitted to the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. Do your research. Another FYI, the vaccinated are now considered the super spreaders. It is my duty as a parent to research and question everything for the sake of my child, not blindly trust. Doctors are not the authority. Teachers are not the authority. The government is not the authority. I am. Thank you.
Maureen Ralston. I'm sorry, I have to go back to Christina Abel.
7033, 74th place.
Thank you.
So first of all, I just want to say thank you. You guys do have a tough job. It's not a job I would ever want to have, so thank you. So I am a concerned parent, so I do have a couple questions for you. Do you guys know how many kids under the age 25 died of COVID last year? Any? Do you know anyone? I'll give you the numbers. 363 kids died under the age of 25 from COVID. 363, of which 95% of them had a comorbidity, which means they really didn't die of COVID. 95% of them had leukemia. So what that means is 0.2% actually died of COVID. 0 died of COVID alone. And you're asking these kids to wear a mask? So explain to me why that makes sense. There is not a risk for kids under age 25 of COVID. You guys might have a risk, but these kids don't. Under age 25, there is no risk. Tell me what study you read that proves that a mask works. Tell me what study the CDC used to validate why we're masking people. Do you want to know what study they used? One study out of India that most physicians discredited. I have proof 50 studies that physicians in the US, 50 of them, that realize that masks are useless. And yet you want to do it again? This is a waste of everyone's time. These masks are filthy. They're in the trash everywhere. Kids are pulling them in and out of their pockets. They're throwing them back on their faces. They're filthy. They're in everyone's cars. They're on the floor. They're gross and they're disgusting. They're a waste. Stop making them weird. They don't work. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If your kids want to wear a mask, let them wear a mask. It's their choice. But make it their choice. They shouldn't have to wear masks.
Christina Abel. Christina Abel. I have you at 9043 Teal Place. Thank you.
Okay, so I've never attended a school board meeting before. I wanted to first thank you guys. I watched them. I've watched last year's when the parents did come. They made a difference. We went from e-learning to in-person, And it had a lot to do with the parents' voice and a lot to do with you guys listening to them. And I really, really want to thank all of you for that. It means a lot to parents to know that they have a say. I printed out some packets. I wish I would have printed a couple more. On the harmful effects of wearing face masks for extended periods of time, which is over 4 hours. Our kids are in school for 8, so obviously they're gonna go over that 4-hour mark. Psychological effects include shortness of breath, lower oxygen levels in the blood, raised carbon dioxide levels in the blood. Masks collect and colonize viruses, bacteria, and mold. Self-contamination, increase in stress hormone levels, dizziness, malaise, chemical toxicity from textile and non-woven masks. Psychological effects include activation of fight or flight stress response, chronic stress condition, fear, mood disturbances, insomnia, fatigue, depression, decrease in empathy, feelings of isolation, comprised cognitive performance, delayed language development in children, suicide ideation. Health consequences, mask-induced exhaustion syndrome, staph infection, strep infection, headaches, anxiety, depression, hypertension, mask mouth, inflamed gums, cavities, oral ulcers, throat abscess, bacterial pneumonia, and lower immune system. If you look through this packet, it's cited, every article in here is cited. It has quotes from different doctors all over the world that are fighting, that are saying that these masks are not healthy for our children. Now, I want my kid to be in person just as much as everybody else. But I do think that it should be the parent's choice on whether they want to put that mask on. Everybody can get the vaccine that works for the school. You have the option. If you want to get the vaccine and you're concerned and the vaccines work, then you should have nothing to worry about. You can get the vaccine and still wear a mask and nobody's going to judge you. But our kids should have the choice whether to wear that mask or not, and the parent should have the choice. Because if you're concerned and you can get the vaccine, then it should be no concern whether that kid has a mask on or not. And kids have been proven not to get this virus, not to pass this virus, not to die from this virus. So I urge the school board to please take into consideration the effects that these masks do have on our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom Ralston. Thank you. Jillian Schranz. Hi.
Did you want to read my address?
Oh, thank you. 1004 Richmond Court, Dyer. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm here tonight in support of the administration's guidelines, and I ask each board member to vote to improve the in-person protocols for fall 2021. While I support the proposed protocols holistically, I'm focusing my remarks tonight on this mask section, specifically the requirement for K through 6 students who do not yet have the option of the vaccine. I'd like to start by saying that I agree with the parents and educators who for the past 18 months have said our kids need to be in school, that in-person learning is how our students learn best. And thanks to the policies last year, including mask protocols, we were able to be successful. And the protocols proposed by the administration will allow us to continue the success into the fall. You may hear from parents tonight that they should have the choice of whether to mask their child. And outside of school hours, the majority of the time they do. But I'd like to remind the board that Lake Central is a publicly funded school corporation that is required to provide equal access to a safe learning environment for all students, and that 7th and above have access to a vaccine that provides a level of safety that our K through 6 students simply do not yet. Universal mask protocols are their only protection. We cannot discriminate against our K through 6 students simply because some people don't like masks. The CDC and Indiana Department of Health have issued new guidelines for the 2021 school year for public schools, and the administration has done a great job basing their proposed protocols on that expert guidance. You may hear tonight that if the state isn't mandating masks for K through 6, then Lake Central can't either. However, I would like to remind the board that there are over 60 established policies in the Lake Central Policy Manual, most of which are not mandated by the state, but are created and adhered to by our district. For any board member to choose to reject the administration's proposed protocols tonight due to the lack of the mandate from the state would be in direct contradiction to the rest of our policy manual. You may hear that the guidelines are confusing or problematic, or that we're better served with one policy for the whole district. That is simply not true. Our student population falls into two distinct groups based on age and access to the vaccine. And as such, each group has different needs. I'm happy to say that the proposed protocols address each group and protect our K-6 students. Also, the data for our county is available online. You can see the increase. It's not just at the national and state level. It does show the exponential increase over the past 3 weeks. That's readily available. With all of that said, please vote to support our administration's protocols. I have 2 students in this district. One is 13, and I can protect them with a vaccine. The other is 11, and I don't have that option yet. So we're just asking you to hold on a little bit longer to maximize all of our students' safety. All Lake Central students, regardless of age, deserve equal access to a safe learning environment.
Thank you. Kurt Nafzoliger? I'm sorry, I know that's said wrong. Kurt? '72 Reader Drive, Sherville? Thank you.
I'd just like to first thank you guys for taking the time to listen to us. I'd also like to take a moment to remind the board that their number one duty as elected board members is to make decisions that ensure the safety and security of all students and faculty in our school system. Additionally, I would like to remind the board that at the end of July 2021, COVID-19 has killed 612,000 Americans so far, and due to the Delta variant combined with ignorant, ill-informed ilk that refused to get vaccinated, is well on its way to killing and hospitalizing many, many more. This is the part that really scares my family and I, as our son is only 10 years old and can't be vaccinated yet. So his only protection from this pandemic and all its dangers is masking and social distancing. That's where you come into the equation. The fact that I have to be here to try and convince you to do the right thing is disheartening and baffling at the same time. Yet here I am, so here we go. If you board members choose to be swayed by the personal freedom contingent that has been so vocal in previous meetings, and even one child or school worker gets hospitalized or dies, that will be a direct result of your decision. So if you can live with the death of even one human being in your conscience, well then, I hope at some point in your life you get your humanity back. Furthermore, if this board does in fact choose to allow the children and faculty of these schools to attend with no mask, and my child gets this terrible disease and winds up being hospitalized or killed, I swear to God, I will litigate against this board, this school system, and each and every one of you that can't vote against putting these simple common sense safeguards in place.
Please.
So now, you have a choice to make. Either safe and secure education for our children, or death and sorrow. It's up to you now. I really hope you choose wisely. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When we have guest speakers, please let them speak, even if you agree or disagree. Please. Margie Gross. Hi, I have you at 72 Reader Drive, Sherville? Correct. Thank you.
A safe option for in-person learning is the only option for all this upcoming school year. The American Academy of Pediatrics' evidence-based guidance for schools reopening safely states that low rates of in-school disease transmission occur when proper disease prevention and mitigation measures like universal mask wearing and physical distancing are used. We know this is true because of the success we had last school year. Additionally, they state that regardless of vaccination status, everyone over the age of 2 should be masked in a school setting. This is especially important because children under 12 are not yet eligible for the vaccine, mine included. So to do anything less than follow these scientific measures is reckless and negligent. I expect that when my child is in your care, that he is in a safe environment above all else. The health and safety of all our children should be first and foremost. Please don't be reckless and negligent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff Frizel. Hi, I have you at 9966 Pheasant Lane, St. John. Thank you.
I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach. I'm not going to come up with a bunch of statistics, although I might cover a couple in my speech. But what I want to remind this board, there's one thing you're elected to do, and that's to represent the people in this district, okay? The people are speaking loud and clear of what they want you to do. You are our representatives. You don't get to push your own personal agendas. We've got a result of 70% of the people in this school don't want their children to be masked. Another example of why we shouldn't be masked, they can't even speak clearly. The gentleman speaking on behalf of his child that just spoke had to take his mask off so he could be heard. Our children have the same problem in class. They can't even see an expression on their child's face or their teacher's face, nor can that teacher read that children's face. It's ridiculous. Mr. Marshall, you claimed last year you're here for the betterment of the children, correct? Is that what you're here for?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Who knows better what's good for my children than me?
I've got a response, Mr. Friesel. Is it only your way or no way?
No, 70% of the people that you... My way or no way? No, I know what's better for my children, not you. Not you. Do you know my kids' names? Do you know my
Please.
children's names?
Thank you.
Attacking me first.
Don't
I'm
address
not
the board.
attacking you.
Don't address the board. Just
I'm just
say what you
asking
have
a
to say.
question.
I know what's best for my children.
Well, I'm glad you have the magic answer.
It's all right.
Can I ask you another question? Why are you parked in a fire lane out front? Why are you parked in a fire lane?
Howard, please do not respond.
It's easier for me to get there.
There's plenty of handicapped people that can't park there as well. It's ridiculous for you to vote against what the people in this district want. You are elected to represent us. Plain and simple.
Thank you. Mike Aurelio?
Do another vote, make it simple. Yeah. If the number's going up, take another vote.
I have you at 8895 Overlook Point, St. John?
Yes.
Thank you.
Board of Education, thank you for letting me speak. Definitely a hot topic. I appreciate you guys, what you do, ladies, what you do. This is not easy. Last year, we were here before. What a great decision in the face of the pressure to not open the schools. What a difference that made for all the children. I respect that you are going after the key to all this is wellness, so health and wellness of our kids, right? That's key, not vaccination levels, not positivity rates, right? Thank God you looked around. Take a look at what's going on in the hospitals, what's going on in emergency rooms. It's not, they're not, 12 and under are not there. They're not getting sick, not very sick, they're not dying. So focusing on who we're talking about tonight. So as we could see, there's strong disagreement here. We have strong disagreement. And I think as a community, this whole community, we are very blessed to live in a great community with great schools, great government. We really are blessed. So, but I think it's also very important at the same time to be able to disagree, to agree to disagree. We need to be able to do that. So we have 70-30, agree to disagree. And I want to point out, and I was taught this a long time ago, what is the key ingredient in tolerance? What is it? What are you doing when you tolerate anything in life? The key ingredient of tolerance, if you're doing it at all, is disagreement. And so when you disagree with something and you tell somebody else, not my way or the highway, which in my opinion is what a mandate is, a mass mandate is, your children will do what my children do because I know what's best. That is extremely intolerant. That's a very intolerant position. I greatly see this as a parents' rights issue. You know, parents love their children. There's no doubt you love the children. There's no doubt you would not put up with this. Why would you put up with this? You can't get paid enough to handle this. There's just no way, right? There's no way. So the parents love their children. They know their children best. You do too, but 70% of the parents, there's no children in the hospitals. There hasn't been. Thank God you did that research. That is really the most important thing. Parents' rights, avoid government mandates, government lockdowns. Don't buy into that. The CDC, if you were there to see how they made their decision last week and the week before, that was different than the week before, which was different from the week before that, and you saw the political pressure that was put on those people, it would make you sick to your stomach. Anyways, thank you.
Thank you. Brian Shelgren?
I have you at 8821 Millard Lane, St. John.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. So I'm gonna take this off here. If everybody could be nice to everybody who speaks up here, we're all adults. Let everybody finish. I don't care what side you got. Just be quiet, let them finish. A lot's been said tonight. I'm gonna keep it somewhat short. To the parents and teachers fighting to keep our kids muzzled, our freedoms do not end where your fears begin. If you're scared of the virus, stay home. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you're really scared, stay home and e-learn. It's an option, I think. I wasn't really paying attention. You can do whatever it is you want to do to feel better about the virus, but don't push it on anybody else. Masking the healthy is tyrannical at best. Masking children, the least likely age group to be affected by this virus, is evil. We sat quietly for 15 days to slow the spread, which Mr. Howard stated that this is only for the start of the year. It sounds familiar, doesn't it? We sat quietly while local businesses were ruined. We sat quietly as schools followed along with the CDC and other political figures who flip-flop their positions and policies, all while telling us to follow the science. This Delta variant is the fool me twice part. Our kids played sports all summer long with no masks, no social distancing, went to birthday parties with friends, visited family, grandparents, no restrictions. To put these kids back in masks is cruel. And for all of you will be held personally responsible for any mental damage caused to our children for these policies. Please do not use our kids as political pawns. To the school board, you were voted in to protect our children and serve the people of the school district. Sounds to me like over 70% voted for no masks. If you vote for masks, each and every one of you will be replaced by a freedom-loving patriot, and we will take our schools back. That being said, effective today, I'm announcing my candidacy for Lake Central School Board. Because if none of you are going to fight for our kids, I sure as hell will. Thank you.
Kelly Z. Kelly Z. Could you please tell me your address? I can't read the word.
Sure. Birch Street.
Thank you. 204 Birch Street? Thank you.
Thanks. I wasn't planning on speaking today, actually, but I feel like I have to. The kids deserve more. One thing I wanted to point out, somebody earlier mentioned the American Association of Pediatrics as a reputable source, and I just want to let you know that their #1 contributor or funder is Pfizer. So that just tells you where that's coming from. That's not science. It's bought and paid for by the pharmaceutical companies, just like the CDC. So I just want to call that out as well. So using the CDC tracker to track the number of COVID cases isn't really accurate, especially using a test that they already just retracted just this week and showed to be ineffective at diagnosing cases. So I want to say that point as well.
And differentiate between COVID and flu.
Exactly. Exactly. There were no flu cases last year. They were all COVID. And again, as that lady mentioned earlier, you could get in a car accident and it be marked on as COVID. And the hospitals get paid more money for it. So it's all a money scheme. And it needs to be called out for what it is, because it's hurting our kids. And I'm sick of it. Also wanted to let my daughter speak.
Do you mind if I take this?
Okay. Okay. So, oh, go ahead.
Hold on a second. Hi,
Hi, my name is Layla Marie Zigowitz, and I would proudly like to tell a few experiences in my school that I've went through. I was really excited to go back to school in person, but until I found out that we had to do all the stuff with the masks, of course, I was really upset when I came home. I was really upset. In gym class, what my mom just mentioned, I was doing my usual business at gym. I was shooting hoops and running back until all of a sudden I crashed to my knees.
Okay, and later on I found out that that's carbon dioxide toxicity, which is caused directly by mask wearing. I didn't want to send my daughter to school.
But I wanted to.
But she missed her friends. She has an IEP. I had to make the hardest decision a parent should have to make. I'm a full-time mom. I did not want to be a homeschool mom because I work full-time, my husband works full-time, but that's what I'm doing next year because I'm so disgusted by the school district and so disgusted at how they're treating children. Go ahead.
Also, in another time I was in class, I was crying because I was upset that I had to wear it.
I'm sorry, your 3 minutes is up. No, we have to follow, we have to follow our meetings. To keep our meetings moving, we have to follow protocol. I'm sorry.
Fine. At least I got to talk. I'm sick of being
Thank
silent.
you. Thank you.
Absolutely tired.
Angie Wilner Tansey. Oh.
Sorry.
Angie? Thank you. School Board, we are at the 30-minute mark. Would you like to continue to hear public comments?
I think we could call for a vote if everyone else is ready. There's a vote or a recommendation? I'm sorry, there's a motion on the table and a second, correct?
Well, I'm asking if you would like to continue to hear public comments, so.
I think we could call for a vote if everyone else is ready. I don't know.
So we have a motion to, are you wanting to continue with public comments or end public comments?
I know how I'm going to vote. I don't know how if the others still need to hear from the others, community members.
So we have a motion to end public comments.
No, I didn't make a motion. No, I didn't make a motion. I just said you might want to consider that. I don't know how the others feel. Other board members, you need to speak up, please. All right, keep them coming.
Okay. I make a motion to continue for another 30 minutes.
Okay. Thank you. Scott Lane. I have you at 5500 West 86th Court, Crown Point?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mike. Yeah, I know. Trying to get this thing back in there. My question is, I have 3 kids that are under the vaccination age. It's not even much of a question. My concern is if the votes go in favor of making masks optional, what are the mitigation methods going to be if anything happens in the school for children, especially if they're immunocompromised or they have weak immune systems? Employers are starting to mandate their people to get employees to get vaccinated. It's been cleared. It's cleared the legal hurdles through the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission and several other legal challenges as well. If the federal government and large corporations, even such as Walmart today, said that they were going to force their corporate employees to get mandatory vaccines in order to maintain their employment. Why is this such an issue when it comes to our children's safety? To make this a political issue or an echo chamber for one side or the other. If it's supposed to be about the children, it's not about trampling on anybody's freedom. Heck, half the people that say their freedom's getting trampled on couldn't even take a needle in the arm. So I don't know what we're fighting about here. These are kids' lives. We say it's their choice. Would you let these kids get behind a car and drive? No.
Let the
Well,
speaker speak,
I've heard that
please.
the children are able to make the choices too. When you send your child out in the public, they're around everybody else's children and family members as well. Now, if anybody here is willing to spend their time sitting in a hospital room with somebody that gets sick as a result of your inaction, I guess we could put sign-up sheets everywhere, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think our kids deserve to be safe. We have to wear masks at work. It's not that big of a deal. It's going to end. We need everybody's help to get in it and do it together. It's not a big deal.
Thank you. Bill, would you get that microphone? Oh, thanks. Phil Kickert? All right, please, we'll end public comments. Phil Kickert? Okay. Carla, I'm sorry, Brovita? Thank you. I have you at 11924 Homestead Heights Drive, St. John?
Yes,
Thank
that's
you.
correct. Thank you. I'm a mom of 5 children in the district, 2 in high school, 2 at Clark Middle School, 1 at Coling. I also have a daughter at home who's 1-year-old who has a significant genetic disability. Many people, more than I, made the case why masks should be a parent's choice and why they should be optional. So I'm not going to rehash that. What I will do, as a practicing attorney in the state of Illinois, is I'm going to argue in the alternative. I'm going to say that if there is a mask mandate, this having half of Clark masked and half of Clark unmasked makes absolutely no logical sense, and in fact will be detrimental to the psychological health of our middle school students who are desperate to fit in, desperate to not feel like they're doing anything wrong or terrible. In fact, in Great Britain, the rate of suicides for children under the age of 18 was higher than the amount of children that died due to COVID. Significantly higher. And if we're following the science, the Indiana Department of Health said there are options for quarantine where you can return in a shorter amount of days with a negative COVID test. 14 days is unreal. You are going to run into the same situation as the poor other woman whose child missed out on 2 months of school. That is not possible for our younger children. In Barnstable County, Massachusetts, a study just came out in July 27th that 74% of people who were fully vaccinated tested positive for the disease and spread it to other people. So having no quarantine for vaccinated students and only a super long quarantine for unvaccinated students makes no logical sense for the new state of the science. Either everyone should get quarantined in the same way with the ability to come back with a negative test, or no one should be quarantined. Either everyone should be masked or no one should be masked. I'm arguing only in the alternative. I still think it should be a parent's choice. My last question is to Ms. Gramala and the special ed department. I have 2 children who have significant special needs, IEPs. They came out of Eastern European orphanages where medical procedures were done on them in a terrible, terrible way. Their psychotherapist believes that continued masking is detrimental to their health. If their doctor says that, will special needs students, will any student be allowed to have a medical exemption to wearing a mask because of their mental health? Again, in the alternative, at the very least, I think that is what is demanded by the Americans with Disability Act and by people who care about our children's mental health. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim Nelson? I have 1447 Tanglewood. Could you tell me what town that is?
Cherville.
Thank you.
I have a little bit different approach, and I'll be pretty quick. But one of the young ladies said that the only line of defense for kids was masks, but I've compiled a list of things that you can do to boost your immune system and keep yourself healthy, okay? Actually healthy. Absolutely. You can eat right, lower your sugar. You can exercise, you can drink lots of water, you can get adequate sunlight and fresh air. I can't stress that, fresh air enough. You can keep good oral and body hygiene. You can get adequate sleep, you can eliminate stress, you can keep your home clean, and my favorite, you can take vitamins, specifically vitamin B, C, D, and zinc. And if you go to Payless Community Hospital, they are treating COVID patients with vitamin D and zinc. Thank you. I guarantee that all of those things will protect you better than wearing a dirty mask all day, because I would take a bet that quite a few people don't regularly wash their masks. Masks do not boost your immune system. They do not add any benefit to your body, and they do not protect you from illness. Children are the least likely to contract COVID, yet you want them to mask up to protect the adults in the building? If an adult is afraid of getting sick, they can go get a vaccine. They can wear however many masks they want. They can wear an astronaut suit to school if they want. But my child is not responsible for your health. You are responsible for your health, and maybe Lake Central School District needs to require families to take some of the precautions I've outlined before they try to imprison my child with these ridiculous face restraints.
Thank you. Casara Lopez. I have you at 11817 Homestead Heights. Thank you. St. John? Thank you.
So I wasn't planning on speaking. I am actually a Lake Central alumni from 11 years back. If you would have told me then that I'd be up here, I'd have been laughing. I am now a parent of a small child at Coling. Sorry, I'm a little emotional. I have a couple questions, but before I just want to say that if you don't want your children to mask, if you think there's no good, then there's no harm. Let it be an option. I have a couple questions. If we do, let's play devil's advocate. Let's say we do have to go back to e-learning. Do you have the proper steps in place this year to do that? Because I know it was a little clumsy at first last year. Like, has there been any more discussions about that at all?
I think we're prepared if we should have to go to e-learning.
Well, if we get to 20% absenteeism in a school, pre-COVID, they would have had us shut down for a period to let the flu or whatever it was subside. But we'd get some notice on that. If we, breached the 10 or 12%, we'd start preparing ourselves. I think we did a much more adequate job with e-learning last school year. So I think we could be prepared in time for that.
And then my next question is, would the CDC still they're recommending the 6 foot, or the social distancing. Is there gonna be any of that in the classrooms this year? Or are we gonna go right back to the kids being in 4 to a table, or the desks pushed together?
Well, they'll spread students out the best they can, but we've said since last summer, that's the one thing that, unfortunately, Arnie Duncan and some other experts out there, they make this statement all the time, but it's really not realistic for districts like ours that I think outside of COVID run efficiently by being relatively full, not having a lot of empty spaces that somebody built that didn't need to be used. So it hurts us a little more now that we're crowded, but under normal circumstances, I think that's something we're proud of.
Okay, that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Guys.
Laura Dubish? I have you at 8897 Winding Trail, St. John?
Yes.
Thank you.
I am Laura Dubish. For the people that are fearful of their kids getting COVID, all 3 of mine had it. My one daughter had a headache for 1 hour. She didn't know she had it, which is unlike her. It's hard to keep her down. So I took her for a test. She tested positive, but she was fine the next day. My son had to have the COVID test because he had a surgery upcoming. didn't even know he had it, so he had to wait for a surgery, perfectly fine. My other daughter never knew she had it. My husband and I also had it. No big deal, we're not high risk. Most of the population is not high risk. This whole thing's about politics. You know, it's very unusual that all of a sudden we can't find our tri-town data. Because I think that was that got us in last year. Because the county said we could go by our own tri-town data, which a lot of smart parents brought up here before the board, so they couldn't. I mean, that's what we were to go by. Not the data all over, not the data in India, not the data all over the world. The politics have to stop. And we did elect you. It's all been said already. We will unelect you. 70% is 70%. You guys do what the parents want you to do, not the superintendent, not his recommendation. Because I understand the superintendent has a lot of different people to please. But this is about doing what's best for the kids, and the parents know best what's best for our kids. So, please.
Thank you. Chris Beagle? Hi, I have you at 1208 Bemis Heights, Sherville?
That's correct.
Thank you.
I have just a question or concern about e-learning. Can you expand on students will be permitted to listen in and teachers' main focus will be on the students that are physically in class? As we know, students can test positive, and according to your rules, they would be quarantined for 10 days. But according to these statements, they would be treated less than. So e-learning would have to be equal, because any one of our children, regardless of mask or unmask, could test positive, could invoke the quarantine, and if they can only listen into trigonometry, I know I listened and watched in trigonometry, and I barely passed. So e-learning has to be on par, not waiting for 20%. Any one of our children, for any reason, could test positive, be quarantined, and e-learning has to be equal. Is it equal from day one?
No, where it would be different is last year, the teachers had, let's call it in many of their classes, 2/3 of the students in front of them and 1/3 of the students at home. And so they were required to check for understanding with all those students who were at home because it was a sizable percentage of their class. If this year there's 30 kids in the classroom and 1 at home, that child at home gets to listen in and the teacher would not be required to check for understanding and interrupt that lesson. But they would do it during their planned period.
But for no reason of their own, any child could test positive, and then they would be quarantined, and then they would get a less than e-learning equivalent?
Well, only slightly less.
Is funding 100% for those e-learners?
No,
Are you getting funded 100%?
No, he was saying that it would just not happen at the same time the class is happening. The teacher would do the follow-up during their prep time, which would be more of a one-on-one situation.
But the e-learning should be equal. That's because
It will be. It's just going to look different, but it will be. They'll be reaching out to them. Yes. Right.
I know when my daughter was in 8th grade, it was not equal. They would hit the button to raise hands. She would try to get, they were deferred to, always.
Was that last year?
Yes.
Yeah. We were all learning.
That's the only
And we've
concern I
learned.
have is if you are getting funded at 100%,
Absolutely.
then these children should get 100% equal.
Thank you. Chris Resbeck, RZEPKC. Chris? Ryan Hullett, H-U-L. Thank you. I have you at 11920 Lewis Court, St. John?
That's correct.
Thank you.
You guys done a great job last year. Couldn't be prouder. I would brag. I work in Illinois. I would brag about how good of a job you guys did. These poor kids in Illinois, what they went through, it was horrible. So I commend you. Larry, even going down to the buses when it's icy out. I know you have our kids' best interest in mind. I know you do. I get your voicemails. I appreciate you. Thank you guys all for what you do. But I will say, your posture shows. You guys don't know this, but each of your posture shows your personal stance on that. Whether you believe so or not, people can pick up on that. Okay? So I ask that you guys continue to keep our children's best interests in mind, and the parents who voted you guys here. You know, I had a little daughter today. She's in camp in Michigan. She was so excited, but she was so nervous because she didn't know she had her mask. I don't like to see my 8-year-old kid like that. Now, I got 2 girls, 10 and 8, so they're younger. They can't get vaccinated, so that's my situation personally, right? Which is different for everybody here. So respect to everyone else. But my kids at Coling, okay, these kids don't have an option. They can't get vaccinated, right? They don't have a voice. You guys have to be the voice for us, for them. And if not, that's fine. There will be other options come elections, okay? So please, I just urge you, keep the kids' best interests in mind. And I got one question for Jennifer. Can you see the people out there? No. Because that thing's almost over your eyes. Again, your position, your posture says a lot about your personal opinions. Please keep our kids in mind.
Thank you. So I have a few more community members who signed up, but they did not put any address. So I have a few more community members on our sheets that they did not sign up, put their addresses on correctly. So are we done with taking public comments?
They didn't put their address.
Correct, they did not put their address. So, all right, with that.
Call for a vote.
No, you have to be signed up. So, what is your name?
My name's Eric Candelak. My question, so you've heard a lot about masks here and there, but with the vaccination, you guys are saying here, you can't come to school and volunteer with your kids if you're not vaccinated? You guys didn't know that? Visitors to school, volunteers must provide proof of vaccination and be limited to those who are involved with student learning and student support, such as field trip chaperones or guest speakers. It's an experimental shot. Why are you trying to segregate one class from another? Why are you trying to discriminate against one class from another? Why are you doing this to our children?
All right, thank you. So with that, we will close public comments. We have a motion on the floor to accept the proposal that's been presented to us. Do we have any other motions?
There was a motion.
No, thank you. Please, no. Please. That's where you, yeah.
What I'll say about it is that our objective was to limit the amount of people milling around the schools. And so, you know, if you read the... I pay for it too, Chris, but I know you do. I pay taxes like all of you. I'd like to answer Mr. Candelak's question if everyone would give me a chance. Okay, so what I was beginning to say is, you know, our objective was to limit the amount of people, visitors in the schools, for those people on the other side of the issue who fear that it can be spread from one person to another, which my understanding of it is that's how it spreads. So if you read the entire document, you saw that even for like the parties, we limit it to one parent helper, and that we would just minimize the number of people in the school during the day. At extracurricular activities and those types of things, people are choosing to go there. That's extra. They call it extra for a reason, but the core learning during the day, the objective was to limit the number of people in the building.
So thank you.
So if for field trips, when you go on a field trip, you're not going to be able to guarantee that everybody that at the place that you go to the field trip is vaccinated. So the parents that aren't vaccinated aren't going to be allowed to go on the field trip. But when you go to, say, the zoo or wherever you're going, you can't guarantee
Well, I'm not sure the parents you're describing are going to want to go on the field trip anyway, because the federal law says you have to wear it on the bus, which is how we get to those trips.
Yes.
So,
we're going to be done taking comments and questions. And the school board, do you have any further discussion that you would like to have amongst each other with Dr. Veraco?
Wait, what'd you say?
Would you like to have further discussion with Dr. Veraco or amongst each other?
Oh, any questions that we might have? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So Larry, there's no way right now for us to know what our metrics are in our tri-town area. We just have to go by county.
well, I got to be honest, I really wasn't seeing that data last year either. I was seeing the countywide
It
data.
was there. It was there.
Is there a way that, how was the caseload determined last year? Like within our schools?
You mean class sizes?
I'm not sure I
I mean-
understand the question.
Are you talking?
How many cases we had at any given time?
Well, we do intend to continue to post the data because there are people, I think, on both sides of the issue who are interested in what those numbers are. And so the numbers did go down dramatically towards the end of the year. And you can look,
Please.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
You know, my question would be, please. My comments would be, you know, last year we were at the place where we didn't even have the safety protocols in place. We were scrambling to get those in place. We have those in place now. And I'm sure that most of our teachers and children will continue using those protocols. And like the young lady said, you know, let's focus on that general health, you know, washing your hands, taking care of yourself. I just personally don't see that there's a clear and present danger in our area. However, no. However, I'm not going to be a Pollyanna and sit here and say it's not going to change, because as you know, it can be knocking right on our door. So we have to be ready for it. The one thing that I would say is that we're all so different. I hate snakes, you might like them. I have allergies, you don't. I can't handle masks, you can. So for us to sit here and say that one situation fits everybody, I think that's very, very hard to do. And that, okay, so that's all I wanted to say. Those are my thoughts. That's it.
I want to say that I am for parental choice. But
What'd she say? Nicole, I'm sorry, I can't hear you down here.
Oh, I just stated that I am for parental choice.
Uh-huh.
Within reason. I think that part of being an adult is compromise. And we have two sides, and I know there's a majority. I get that. But I think that we should maybe think about that and try to come together, try to compromise a little bit. So with that being said, I would like to make a motion to amend the standing motion to change bullet point number 2 in the math section to change the pre-K through 6th grade student math protocol from required to strongly recommended.
What? Dang it, let her finish.
You might not like me as much when I finish. I hope you do, but I don't know if you will. I'm trying to be diplomatic here. Strongly recommended as it states for grades 7 through 12, and to authorize Dr. Veraco to adjust the mask protocol when our advisory dips out of blue.
Yes. Okay. That's what he is paid to do.
Madam President?
Do we have a motion?
Madam President?
Yes.
You didn't vote on
The
the
original
first
motion is still on the table. It has been seconded. Prior to any discussion of changing that motion, I'd like to clear it with a board vote. call for the vote on the original motion.
All right, we will call for an individual roll call vote on the original motion, which was to accept.
Dr. Veracco's recommendation.
All right. Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Nay.
Dr. Medlin?
Aye.
Dr. Melko?
Nay.
And I am a nay. So with that, so now we've been presented with Mrs. Kelly's revised motion, which is to accept Dr. Veracco's original proposal with revision under masks, point bulletin number 2, that she would like to, a standing motion to change bullet point 2 in the mask section to change the pre-K 6 student mask protocol from required to strongly recommended, as it is for grades 7 through 12, and authorize Dr. Veracco to adjust student mask protocol when the county advisory status is not in blue. So with that, we will vote.
Will you please repeat that?
She would like to amend under masks, point bulletin number 2. She'd like to see the whole, that he presented to us, the whole paper here, the protocols, and revise. She's making a motion to amend the standing motion to change bullet point 2 in the mask section to change the pre-K through 6 student mask protocol from required to strongly recommended, as it is for grades 7 through 12, and authorize Dr. Veracco to adjust student mask protocol when the county advisory status is not in blue.
Mrs. Seuss, can the board be more specific? There are 4 levels. So you've got the blue, the yellow, the orange, and the red. And so can the board be specific on that piece? Thank you.
Yes, I would be comfortable with orange.
Orange. She has stated orange.
So if it went into orange, what would occur?
And I say orange because, as we discussed this, Janice did bring up a valid topic, that our county metrics include Gary, East Chicago, Hammond, very large cities who typically have a high count. So that's why I was pushing on the tri-town specific data, but we don't have just tri-town data.
So orange is the recommended.
If we go into orange.
So
And
what are the
Madam
levels?
President,
Blue, yellow, orange.
Blue, yellow, orange?
Red.
Okay.
And then red.
Yeah, I'm sorry, then red, sorry.
you still haven't answered my question.
What was your question?
If it went into the orange category, what will occur?
Dr. Veracco's recommendation of masking our students and our staff while in school.
It will
So,
become effective
Yes, it would become effective under his recommendation, yes.
once it went into the orange category.
Orange level. Yes. So.
Okay,
that is
here's
the
what I'm
proposal.
thinking that we need to do. We've made a recommendation, we've made a vote, and we choose not to accept this. Nicole is coming up with a recommendation.
A compromise.
Why can we not massage that a little bit, have some work session time to figure that out? And because we will have excuse me, please. I don't yell at you when you're talking. Just give me a moment, please. Come on. Thank you. Shh. Shh.
Do we want
I did?
Recess?
Not me. No, yeah, because we have a board meeting on Monday, and couldn't we massage this and kind of come to an agreement and bring it back?
2 weeks.
No, we have one.
2 weeks.
It's a special meeting we have on Monday for Larry.
That's an executive session, yes.
Well, right now, you know that the starting status is optional mask, right? We've already voted that. What we're trying to decide is at what level, what will be the next phases of that. And I'd like for Dr. Bracco to have some time to absorb that.
So would we like to call for a recess
I'm not talking. Why are
for a few minutes?
Yes, I would. I would like to call for a
We have a
recess.
motion to call for a recess. 3 minutes.
Second.
We have a second. We are calling for a recess. Nobody's going back doors. Okay, it has been 3 minutes. We have a motion by Ms. Kelly. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
All right, we have a second by Dr. Malco. So we will now take a roll call vote. Mr. Marshall?
Could you repeat the motion, please, President?
Sure, can I have your? Yeah. Thank you. So Mrs. Kelly has proposed making an amendment under masks, point bulletin number 2. She would like to see the standing motion to change the bullet point 2 in the mask section to change the pre-K through 6 student mask protocol from required to strongly recommended as for grades 7 through 12, and authorize Dr. Veracco to adjust student mask protocol when the county advisory status is not in blue and when it is in orange. So we have a motion, and now we have a second. So now we will take an individual roll call.
Can you clarify for me, though, now? When you say given me the authority, are you saying that we are reverting to a requirement at Orange? Is the board making that decision? Because otherwise, we're going to be back right here again. If we don't say specifically what the language is going to be in that bullet.
That's why I say, give us some time to work it out. I like the motion. Can't we just go ahead and say that we would like some time to massage it? Can Dr. Bracco just not bring it back to us at our next meeting with some time and effort that he's put into it?
If we're going to do this, we need to be clear about this. What about yellow? What if we're in yellow? It's okay for us to be in yellow? It's not?
So,
Because the CDC doesn't think it's okay, or the AAP, or the ISDH.
Jenny?
Anyway, can we vote on this?
Dr. Medlin, I just want to respond to Jenny. Dr. Medlin, yellow for the county doesn't necessarily mean yellow for the Tri-Town area. We typically are a little bit behind the county matrix because Lake County is so large and it incorporates so many large areas.
These metrics are based on percent in the county. And we are adjacent to those counties.
I understand what you're saying, Jenny, but that...
this is a meeting for us to conduct our business, please. It's not a town forum meeting, so please. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I wish I could wave a magic wand and there were metrics for our Tri-Town specific area, but there's not.
I'd like to call for a vote on Nicole's recommendation, and then with the understanding that it might be massaged to be more clearly defined for what you're needing, Dr. Bracco.
I don't think that solves any purpose. If that's what we want to do, then I would just say go with optional till further notice, and we'll review it later.
Okay, that's fine.
So we have a motion by Ms. Kelly.
So we
Any
need to
other
vote.
comments? We have a second by Dr. Malco. Any other comments from the board?
So we need to vote on that.
We do need to vote on this.
Dr. Bracco's not comfortable with the way that's presented. He would like that to sound a little bit different. So let's vote on this and get this off the table.
All right, Mr. Marshall.
Based on the fact I feel it's not clarified, and to be more definitive, I'm voting nay.
Thank you. Ms. Kelly?
Yay.
Dr. Medlin?
Nay.
Dr. Malco?
Nay.
And I am a yes. So with that, I need your assistance, so.
I'd like to make a motion that we do exactly what Ms. Kelly had suggested, and that mask mandates are strongly recommended. Take that verbiage out of the recommendation. And I would also like that motion to include the fact that we, as a school board, would need to reconvene if the changes need to be made to this suggestion. This is a working document. I mean, let's get real about it. This is a working document. For us to just put our approval on it and say it's not going to change, I don't see how we can. There's just too much fluidity and out there going on. So for at this point in time, we'll go with the, as Nicole had recommended, without the color included in it, so that Dr. Bracco is comfortable with that. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Not to me.
No, I have to say that all again. Okay, all right, so
Madam President, may I have a few words here?
Well, no, let me just get this clarified, and then you guys can either second it or not. My motion would be that the masks are optional, period.
Madam President, prior to any consideration of a new motion, my years on the school board are such that we respond to recommendations from the administration This school board, in the years I've been here, has never made motions on their own behalf. That's not our responsibility. I'd like Dr. Veracco to come back to us if we're knocking out this second bullet and give us his recommendation with that in mind. Then we can vote on it. We are not empowered to make motions as a school board. We act on recommendations of the superintendent that we've hired. Thank you.
So are we motioning to table?
That's not a motion, it's just my comment.
What's your comments? Okay.
Mine is a motion. Mine was a motion.
Do we have a motion by Dr. Malkow to make masks optional? Do we have a second?
What is the motion from Dr. Malkoff?
To make masks optional. Do we have a
You want my
second?
vote?
No, we don't even have a second, so we need a second.
So wait, I thought Dr. Malkow's motion was to clean up the wording for Larry.
That's what I would like, but it confused everyone. So what we'll do is we'll go by steps, and the first step will be mask are optional. Then, as a work session for us, we will work on the communication that is uncomfortable for Dr. Veracco and his administration, and then the literature in it that's uncomfortable for us. Phase one right now is just masks are optional, and the rest of the document stands the way it is. Okay?
Okay. So we have a motion to divide the document, that we would accept the document with the exception of the masks, under the mask section, bullet point number 2. So we have a motion.
I will second that motion.
We have a second to accept the document with the exception of bullet point number 2. We will do a roll call vote unless there's discussion. Mr. Marshall.
I'll vote aye.
Ms. Kelly.
Aye.
Dr. Medlin.
Aye.
Dr. Malko.
Aye.
And I am an aye, so the motion passes on the document that was presented to us with the exception of masks. Bullet point number 2.
Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, we have a whole.
Right.
That's all you were here for, so yeah, it's done.
So we will move on with our board meeting. And we will move on to our Director of Human Resources Personnel, Mrs. Mucha.
Tell them it's a good time to roll.
We are going to continue with our meeting. If you would like to leave, now would be a good time. If not, we ask that you please respect the board conducting their business.
Tell me when you want me to proceed.
Whenever you're ready. Please take your business outside so we can continue with our meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask for your approval for the recommendations for personnel that were in your packet.
Move to approve the recommendations.
We have a motion by Dr. Medlin.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Kelly. Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed, same sign? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. My second item is about the new high school football booster club, now called the LC Blitz, which is formerly the Gridiron Club. In your packets is a copy of a 501c3 status for the club. We also have, they have provided their bylaws and the articles of incorporation, and this would be the official booster club for our football team.
I would like to make a motion to approve that.
We have a motion by Ms. Kelly.
Second.
Second by Dr. Medlin. Any discussion?
Yes, could you explain it again for me?
Well, we used to have the Gridiron Club, and that's been disbanded. Now we will have the LC Blitz, which will be the booster club for our football team. and they have filed all the necessary paperwork to have that to be a 501c3.
So this, the LC Blitz, is a subordinate member of the Parent Booster USA.
It's our own booster club.
Yeah,
It's the LC Booster Club.
It originally was the Gridiron Club for many, many years.
Oh,
And
oh.
now
It's
they-
just replacing
yes,
that.
it's being replaced by this one, and they are
All
officially
right.
a 501c3.
It's a reorganization of the club.
All right, now I understand. I thought we were adding something new, and I
No,
thought,
it's just a
oh,
reorganization of the past club.
reorganization.
Yes.
Understand now, thank you.
So we had a motion, yes?
Oh,
By Ms.
yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
And then, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Malco? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, thank you.
Thank you. In your packets also, I gave you a description of the associate principal stipend for the high school. I'm asking for your approval for this stipend.
Move to approve the stipend.
We have a motion by Dr. Medlin,
Second?
second by Ms. Kelly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Thank you, motion passes.
Thank you very much. Also in your packet, I gave you some professional development dates. In conjunction with the LCTA, we are proposing 8 professional development dates for our teachers. It would take place on the second Tuesday of 8 months, not including August, obviously, or December. It would give the teachers a half hour for their lunchtime and then 2.5 hours for professional development. This professional development would be a planned professional development, also with the last third of that time given to the teachers so they'd have time to practice what they learned in the professional development. So I am requesting approval of those 8 professional development dates.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Marshall,
Second.
second by Dr. Medlin. Any discussion?
I think it's a great beginning. It's not where I would want it to be, but I think that it can grow and develop into something really great and fantastic. And I understand that you're doing this because of concerns with parents and childcare. I totally get it. Makes sense, so thank you.
So will this be revisited every year?
Yes.
Or okay,
It'd be something that we do in conjunction with our LCTA.
thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And next, we'll move on to our Director of Primary Education, Dr. Bracy.
Good evening, Superintendent Baracco, President Sues, board members, and our Lake Central community. I'm coming.
Excuse me, I can't hear you. Can you
Sure,
either
sorry.
speak closer to the mic or?
Sure. Good evening, Superintendent Baracco, President Sues, board members, and our Lake Central community. I am coming before you tonight to address 4 topics, actually. Professional leave approvals, field trip approvals, social emotional learning, and new teacher orientation. Professional leaves. There are no field trip requests, but I am seeking your approval of the professional leave requests you have received in your packets.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Marshall.
Second?
Second by Ms. Kelly. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Before COVID, it became evident that schools across the country needed to implement social emotional learning. In addition to the virus, our students have to deal with social media, which is something we did not have to worry about when we were their age. Here is a message we've been sharing with parents. School districts across the country are implementing segments of SEL or morning meetings into their daily routines. The goal of SEL and morning meetings is to build relationships between staff and students and their peers. Our district has adopted Second Step, an online program which demonstrates how students can make friends, keep friends, deal with their frustrations, and make good choices. The benefits are endless, and there are no risks associated with social emotional learning. SEL discourages bullying and encourages kindness. We want to make sure we are meeting the academic and social emotional needs of our students. Mrs. Castaneda will talk more about the program at the secondary level. New teacher orientation. Today we had the awesome privilege of welcoming 35 new certified staff members to our Lake Central family. We met with them about customer service, the services we offer to our Lake Central students, the teacher evaluation process, and how to access Indiana IEP. We were able to get to know some of them during our luncheon, and the afternoon continued with more trainings. Our new LC family will return tomorrow, and we'd like to thank everyone from our tech department to our food service department and to our custodians for making our new teacher orientation a success. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Director of Secondary Education, Mrs. Castaneda.
Thank you. For my first item, I just wanted to piggyback on the topic of SEL. At the secondary level, SEL has been part of our middle school advisory program for the past 2 years. I've presented on it at previous board meetings. Some of the lessons were created by a team of LC teachers. Others were from a purchase program called Second Step. At the high school level this year, we're going to begin using a series called Believe in You during the PTE classes as well. We did some work last year in SEL at the high school with the Pursuit of Happiness courses that were made available by the Indiana Department of Education to help schools meet the social emotional learning competencies. As Dr. Bracey said, the SEL lessons cover topics such as kindness, empathy, problem solving, stress management, and coping skills, along with goal setting. An additional benefit of the SEL activities is that it helps students build relationships with their peers in the group that they're working with through these lessons, as well as the teacher who's in charge of that group. And if you look at research, students who have a close bond with an adult they trust at school and with their peers and feel trust with them, those tend to be students who are more successful and have better progress during their academic career, as well as less behavioral issues. Many people right now are commingling SEL with critical race theory. The two couldn't be the furthest thing from one another. In regards to critical race theory, that is something that we do not teach. We teach the Indiana State Standards, and anyone can go look at the Department of Education website in order to check those out. But SEL is something that is very beneficial for all of our students. We feel that especially this school year, after everything they've gone through last year, that will be of the utmost, the utmost importance to continue doing that here at all of our Lake Central schools. Any questions? Okay. For my second item, I am actually going to bring up 3 people from the high school. We are very fortunate to have here our wonderful new Department Chair of Guidance, Ashley Klein, one of our Freshman Rush sponsors and one of our beloved high school faculty members, Jackie Holden, and also one of our student leaders of the Freshman Mentoring Program, Kimmy Hesterman. They are going to elaborate on the Freshman Rush that is taking place this week, as well as the Freshman Mentoring Program. So thank you so much for being here this evening.
Good evening. Again, my name is Ashley Klein. I'm one of the school counselors here at Lake Central. Me and Mrs. Holden are running Freshman Rush this year in conjunction with the Mentorship Ambassador Program and our Mentorship Ambassador leader, Kimmy Hesterman. So we're just going to kind of run through the details of Freshman Rush this year, which is on August 4th on Wednesday. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so the first 2 slides are just some information about the mentorship program itself, and after I'm done with the specific program or the specific presentation that we're going to give at Freshman Rush, Kimmy's going to talk about the Mentorship Ambassador Program specifically, so you can go to 2 more slides ahead. Go ahead. Okay, so like I said, Freshman Rush is Wednesday, August 4th from 10 to 1. Students are going to proceed through door A and proceed into the auditorium. We're going to have large group instruction. During the auditorium presentation, we're going to do introductions. We're going to just give an overview of the day, and Kimmy's going to do a presentation on the Mentorship Ambassador Program itself. And then students are going to split up into their PTE classes. So they're actually going to be already sitting in their PTE classes in the big auditorium, and then we are going to start our 45-minute rotations that include lunch, PTE, and our tours. So you can go ahead and go to the next slide. So more specifically, they're going to get a tour of the school and all of the school grounds and highlighting fun facts about Lake Central. There's going to be a Freshman Rush Card My Yard sign on the northwest side of the building. There's going to be a student from Publications taking pictures of each group that goes outside. They are also going to go into their freshman PTEs, into their actual classrooms, so they kind of see what an actual Lake Central classroom looks like. During those small group meetings, they're going to do some icebreakers, small group discussions, and small group activities, and kind of learn what a typical day in the life is of a Lake Central High School student. And then they're going to also eat lunch in the cafeteria. The Lake Central Food Service Department is going to provide lunch for students free of charge. They're going to get a hot dog and chips, and then For $1 purchase each, they can either buy a water or a pop. And this is a fundraiser for the freshman class cabinet. Students.
Interject real quick. We also added, we're doing like just some fun raffles throughout the day. And I wanted to give a shout out to the smoothie team. They donated a huge basket for a raffle as well as CD's fun.
And then students are actually going to walk through the lunch line in the north cafeteria as if they were getting food in a normal school day. So they kind of get in that routine. So we're going to show a fun video. It's only about 3 minutes long that Kimmy and some of the rest of the freshman ambassador students made to show on Freshman Rush Day.
Hi everyone, my name is Kimberly Westerman, and I created the Membership Ambassador Program of the high school with the intention to help the middle schoolers, specifically incoming freshmen, to feel more comfortable coming into the school since it is a big adjustment. So our mission statement is to bring many individuals together to kind of tie the corporation together.
They're like block days, like for 90 minutes. And so then like in your white days you had kind of help you with kind of like a homeroom but longer, where you can get academic assistance, and you can like go to teachers and like really catch up. It's kind of like a study hall basically.
And then we usually start at 7:15. There's usually a bell at around 7:10, kind of like a 5-minute bell. And there's another one at 7:14, which is a minute before we start. And then we end around 2:09, and it usually allows for high school students to like have other activities outside, like jobs, sports, clubs.
In a normal year, we have 4 lunches, A through D, and it's a mix of all grades. Your lunchtime is determined by your teachers during 3rd and 6th hour, so one tip would be to make friends during those classes. Remember, it's good to get out of your comfort zone and meet new people throughout high school.
Hey guys, so we're here today to talk to you about the difference between electives and extracurriculars.
So we have a lot of electives offered here at LC that are mainly career-based. We have classes such as engineering classes, business classes, art classes such as 2D art, 3D art, ceramics, vocational classes such as auto shop, machine shop, print shop, and also music classes such as choir and band.
And then your extracurriculars would be the clubs, which includes student government and then service-based clubs, and there's many more. And you'll get more information about that during the school year, so keep an eye out. And then there's also the sports, which start in the summer usually, so keep an eye out for those too. And these are really important building blocks for the rest of your years at Lake Central, and really important in making new friends and meeting new people.
Adjusting to the new school could seem scary at first, but we hope to give you these pieces of advice to help relieve your nerves.
One of the biggest things we recommend is that you don't buy any school supplies before school, because you're going to receive a lot of books from your teachers on those first couple of days, and you're only going to go home with sore shoulders and a broken back. So your teachers are going to give you a school supply list of the things you're going to need for the class. So make sure you buy your school supplies within that first week of school so that you don't hurt yourself.
Lake Central may seem intimidating based on its size, but we have access to great facilities such as 4 gyms and a pool, and you'll spend most of your time in the same academic sections of the school. Don't be afraid to ask a teacher or an upperclassman. I promise you we're not that scary.
Time management is extremely crucial in high school. My biggest recommendation would definitely be to stay organized and plan ahead. Find methods that work for you. You need to take advantage of your PTE and any work time that's given. And while academics are extremely important, finding a balance between your school and personal life is important as well, because we're only in high school once, so enjoy it while it lasts.
also have the opportunity to submit questions that will remain anonymous that we will answer during the large group meeting in the auditorium before we break into our small groups. Okay, and this is just a few reminders, obviously, that we're going to tell them on Freshman Rush Day. The next day is the open building day, where they can come back and walk around and see their classes and see where the lunchroom and all the main parts of the school, and obviously the first day of school.
And Kimmy was nice enough to volunteer to come on the open school day in case kids needed direction. She's rounding up a group of kids to help,
Yeah.
you know, in case kids need help with lockers or directions and things like that.
Okay, and we are also going to send out a survey to students just to get some feedback so we can build our program and our event year after year. Okay, so we know that, you know, for a lot of the students, this is the first time they were walking into a school building in probably a year and a half. So we just want to have a fun, positive day with great activities and a great introduction to Lake Central High School. So thank you for listening. And now Kimmy's going to present on our specific freshman ambassadorship program.
She needs a round of applause.
She's amazing.
Do you have a second? Another presentation, yeah. Thank you. Thank you all for staying to listen to everything. I appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Okay, so as you probably heard in the video, my name's Kimberly Hesterman, and I'm a senior at Lake Central High School. So last school year, I created the Mentorship Ambassador Program with the help of Mr. Bagley and Ms. Stamper. And so you can go to the next slide. So I'm just the reason why I'm presenting to you today is kind of to explain why I wanted to make the program a reality and also what it's all about. So again, our vision is to bring many individuals together to work as one school, because with all the unprecedented circumstances that's been happening in the world, I feel as though we need some unification for sure, and for everyone to come together, especially like within the corporation. So if you want to go to the next slide. So kind of like a rundown of what MAP is, it's short for the Mentorship Ambassador Program, and it's basically a reinvented version of the mentorship program that existed my freshman year. It kind of faded out my sophomore year, so I wanted to kind of build it up again to have it also possess more purposes as well. So if you want to go to the next slide. So the main goals, which is what the new kind of reinvented part is the transition between middle school to high school. I really wanted to focus in on the 8th graders and to kind of help ease that transition there, to start earlier for a younger audience as well. And then to increase leadership growth and opportunities within the high school, because this program is directed for the juniors and seniors at the high school to kind of be those mentors and role models for everyone coming into the high school, and also to encourage the student-led projects, because I feel like student initiative is something that's really important that we need to prioritize more. So if you want to go to the next one. So they're transitioning, like I said, from middle school to high school. I was thinking about going into the 3 middle schools at least 3 times a year, and the Mentorship Ambassador Program is growing as we speak, so we have a lot of people who are willing to put their time in to go to the middle schools. And so it's beneficial for both sides. For the middle schoolers, they get to hear from our experiences. They get to understand what like student life is for us, from someone who was just in their shoes that they're going to be in. And also for us, we're gaining a lot of leadership growth and in public speaking, since that's always something that everyone could improve on, I feel like. So it's something that would benefit both the middle schoolers and the high schoolers. If you want to go to the next slide. So the details kind of, this is more like what would happen at the middle schools. It'd kind of just be like introducing who we are and what the purpose of the presentation is, and then to get into some of those details, and then the Ask an Upperclassmen would be asking us specific questions, maybe breaking down a small group so the kids are more comfortable, but it would kind of just be like a more socializing with the older and younger kids. So I'm gonna go to the next slide. The presentation timeline, the 3 times a year would be in November to discuss scheduling. So before the 8th graders even schedule, we could tell them like what classes are offered, our AP recruitment, to kind of get more involved in the AP and honors classes at the high school, since it does come really fast. And also the electives that we offer, to try to do as many courses as you can to try out to see what you like. And then our February presentation would be directed around extracurriculars and the clubs and sports that we offer, and how important it is to get involved in school, because I feel like not only for like personal enjoyment, but also for like looking ahead to college, it's so important to get involved while you're in high school, because colleges want to see well-rounded and involved students in their community and school. So this gives opportunity for us to really highlight the fact that, you know, even if you're scared to join a club, like just do it, because it's gonna be beneficial no matter what. And then our April presentation, just be a lot of reassurance, just like, it's gonna be okay, you're not gonna get lost, you're not gonna, you know, do any of that. So just know that it's just a lot of reassurance to know that they're gonna, these upcoming freshmen, you're gonna be okay, and that you can adjust really easily. So the cultivating leadership part, I feel as though leadership is something that like is never wasted. It's something that I feel like everyone has the potential and they have it in them. They just need to be given the opportunity and just encouraged that they can do it. So I feel like by having these different chairs in our program specifically, it gives a lot of people the chance to have that role and to work with others more, because definitely leadership is something that goes a long way. Not just at this level, but further on too, and in professional life. So if you want to go to the next one. Student initiative, just you can go to the next one too. These are the events that we would help out with, and since like the program is growing tremendously, we have a lot of people who are willing to work at these and volunteer. So and take their time, because there's lots of people who want service hours and just want to help out the school. So this is kind of the rundown of what the program is, and also kind of background again of like why I wanted to create it specifically from like my personal story, is because growing up as an only child, I never really had someone as like a role model to look to. So when I joined cross country my freshman year, I met 2 amazing role models that kind of filled the roles of older siblings I never had. So if I didn't have them, I wouldn't have had the guidance and advice to give other people, and I feel like everyone doesn't get that opportunity. So if we're able to kind of spread that and create more unity amongst the different, like the middle school and high school specifically, it would bring a lot of more knowledgeable people and more productive members of society. So, and the next one is the concluding slide. So thank you again for listening. Thank you for Ms. Klein and Ms. Holden for being open to so many new ideas this year, and for just helping out so much and wanting to grow the program. So thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
You're welcome. A huge thank you to Mrs. Klein, Mrs. Holden, and Kimmy for coming this evening. That was a wonderful
Absolutely.
presentation.
Thank you.
My last 2 items are quick. My first one is professional leave requests. I'm seeking approval for the ones that were in your board packet.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Marshall.
Second.
Second by Dr. Medlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
And then for my final item, I am seeking your approval for the field trip request.
Motion to accept.
We have a motion by Mrs. Kelly.
Second.
Second by Dr. Medlin. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to our Director of Student Services, Mrs. Grimella.
My only item tonight is to seek your approval for my request to attend the Special Education Law Conference sponsored by the IEP Resource Center.
So moved.
We have a motion by Dr. Malco.
Second.
Second by Mr. Marshall. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Move on to our Director of Facilities, Mr. Ledyard.
Thank you, Mrs. Suze. I just have a couple items just to update the board on.
The first one is this past July, we received 2 checks as part of the NIPSCO incentive program, which our optimization program submitted on last spring for some control updates here in the freshman center. The checks totaled $4,567.50. We updated some controls here to be more energy efficient at this end of the freshman center. The total cost of that was about $7,500, so we already got back $4,500 plus, and so probably another 12 to 15 months will be money ahead on that. So that's the first item. Any questions? My second item is just to update you, as per my document I submitted, as the summer projects are winding down here. We're pretty much 95% complete with everything. The only outstanding items are a few things we couldn't get yet on, but they're all outside, as well as some furniture and stuff we ordered as well because of the COVID issues. So we'll be wrapping those up in the next 2 weeks, but they won't have any impact on any of the students or staff. They're outside or furniture deliveries that aren't needed for students right away. So any other questions on that?
Mr. Ledger, did you?
Go ahead, Dr. Malco.
No, I had a question about the athletic repairs you're doing. Can you give me some understanding of what you're doing with that?
We can, I can give you that in more detail at the next board meeting. I'll be happy to do that.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Mr. Marshall, did you have a question? Comment?
No,
No?
I just gave him a thumbs up.
Oh, thank you, Howard.
Yes, as always, thank you for getting
you.
those summer projects done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Director of Business Services, Mr. James.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Included in your board packet was our 2020 annual financial report. This is required to be published in the paper between August 1st and August 15th, and so I seek your permission to advertise said report.
Motion to approve. We have a motion by Ms. Kelly,
Second.
second by Dr. Malco. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. My second item is to seek approval for the donations that were included in your board packet.
Move to approve the donations.
We have a motion by Dr. Medlin,
Second.
second by Ms. Kelly. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. And my final item is just to give the board an update on our textbook rental fund. We've kind of been talking about this, for a couple of years now. And so at the end of the school year is when we take the unpaid amounts and we sort through them and determine which accounts we're going to send to collection. So I set at your stations just a little summary, just to kind of go over it. At the end of June, at the end of the school year, about 18% of our students or families who are full pay, meaning that they do not get qualify for free textbooks. About 18% of them still had some sort of balance, and that totaled a little over $252,500 of outstanding amount paid to us. Now, some of those could have been $5, $10, but that was just a small amount. So we go through those, and we look at the accounts, and we can tell that people are making payments. Maybe there was just a fee added later. Maybe there was an athletic fee, a transportation fee. And so, again, we don't send them all to collections. But in July, we sent 899 accounts to our collection agency for a total of $228,600. They will pursue that with letters, and then will increase in the actions that the collection agency takes. I've included some stats there of how many accounts we sent the last 2 years and the dollar amounts. We are pretty consistent in that same amount. We do have some repeats people, but hopefully, I just want to really say more so, more of a thank you to the 82% of people who were paying their fees on time, because we really do rely on that money in order to turn around and purchase textbooks, and because of the amount that we're not collecting 100%, that's why our fund gets in the hole. So I'm in the middle section. I've shown what our cash balance is of our textbook rental fund as of June 30th. All those amounts are negative, and we're in the hole. We've been talking for years of how to increase that. We do send out statements monthly starting in the fall to our families to remind them to pay. And so, we're really working at it, and we're trying. It was a larger amount here at the end of this year. Last year was crazy, but some of it is a timing issue as well. We're on a cash-based system, which means it's when the receipts are in, the receipts are out. And so we did have some higher expenditures that came through in June that maybe last year weren't run through our books until July or August. So it is more of a timing issue. But we're still working on it. The good news is online registration started last Wednesday, and at that time is when we get the majority of our money from our parents. And we have collected $663,000 since last Wednesday, which will help the fund. Now, we also will have corresponding expenditures still paying for textbooks that were ordered in the spring that are here that we're still processing payment for. So it's helping for sure. That will tail off because this is, again, that first week or two when school is getting in session is when we see the biggest chunk of our revenue. So any questions that you would have for me on this?
Yes, Mr. James, I have a question, and I read this somewhere, I heard this somewhere, that CARES Act money could be used to help some of these payments. Am I dreaming that?
I have not read that. In order to use CARES or ESSER money, it has to be specifically related to costs or expenditures that were related to the pandemic.
Right.
And just because someone didn't pay their textbook rental fee, I'm not sure if I feel comfortable saying, well, that was because of COVID.
Well, other than loss of work or something like that could be the connection there.
Well, if they had loss of work, then they should have been able to qualify for free and reduced lunch, and they would have had their fees waived in the first place. So I'm not comfortable using that federal money to offset any of this.
You know, years ago, our legislators were talking at some point in time about helping with free and reduced, you know, and some of the outstanding TBR amounts. Is that discussion still out there?
Actually, it's gone the opposite way, where in the past it was easier for families to qualify for free and reduced, and now it's actually a little bit harder.
It's harder to qualify for free and reduced.
The families can still apply the same way with the application. We have that application on our website. Our food service department sends it out. But really, for when it comes to textbooks, the state has gone to the number of kids who are directly certified and receive food stamps and TANF. So they've kind of separated out the school where you get free and reduced lunch. In the past, it used to be you get free or reduced lunch, you automatically got free textbooks. That's still the case, but when it comes for the reimbursement-wise, they're only going off of the direct certs, what we call the direct certified food stamp TANF people. So less people are qualified for the reimbursement portion that we get from the state. It's actually a lower amount. The reason why they changed it is because that program is a state program, and they felt that they could better audit it or control it than people applying to a federal program. I actually think it hurts our families and members of the state, but that's for them to decide. We just really need to try to push more for our families to apply for, because we know that there's struggling families in our district. They're trying to get by, and you know, we have a community of pride, and some people don't want to, but there is that assistance that's out there. It's not like it used to be. You know, the lunch cards are on the key. No one knows who's actually paying and who gets reduced. So we really do try to encourage our families too, because you know, again, they're struggling, especially this past year, and any assistance with there can be aid out there for them. You know, we'd like to get them that support.
Well, and then that brings me to another question. I'm not sure that you would be the person to ask, or if it would be Dr. Varacco, but how did the summer food, there were summer meals available for our families, correct?
Yes, through the month, through June. It was once a week in June. And I don't know the exact numbers of how many meals were actually served off the top of my head, but it was substantial. It was a lot. They pretty much gave out all the food every week.
Good.
They were giving out 10 meals, I think, a breakfast and a lunch each time, like for a whole week. Don't quote me on that, but it wasn't just one meal. They were getting multiple. And so, yes, that was a great program for them.
Was that just during the month of June then?
I believe so, because we weren't ordering, I don't believe we were ordering more food. We just had the food that we
the leftovers
still kind of had.
Okay, well, that was a nice gesture. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to add to anyone who's watching at home or tend to watch this later, just a reminder that this upcoming school year, for the entire school year, the feds have approved the free breakfast and the free lunch program for all students like we had for a few months last year. So regardless of your income, every student can walk in and get a free breakfast and a free lunch every single day. And so we will be able to claim those kids, get money for that. They don't have to fill out a lunch application. It's automatic. However, in order to get the free textbooks, you still need to do the application. So it takes communication, and our food service department is doing a great job on that, because people are thinking, oh, I'm already getting the free meals, I don't need to do the application anymore. It is still imperative for them to do that in order to get the textbooks aspect of it. So just went off on a tangent there. But
well, and I wanted to add one other item. If you remember one night at a school board meeting, I mentioned the buddy bags that we have from a church in Crown Point, and the Colleen, I'm going to call her homeschool facilitator, assistant principal, whatever her title was, she jumped on that right away, and now that's expanded into all the elementary schools in Lake Central, and what that does is provides meals for them during the weekend when they're away from home. So maybe we can have some information shared with our other board members about that. I think I'm the only one that really knows what's going on with it. So, but it's another way that we can help our community members.
Yep.
That was
Any
it.
other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
So now we will move on to our public comments, and we have a few community members signed up, and we will start with Laura Dubish.
Hello again.
Hi.
So I want to bring up politics in the classroom, and not sure if you had to get this on an agenda, but our kids are arguing with each other now. Adult teachers are stoking this with their overwhelming need to let their political feelings be known in the classroom, both verbally and by hanging various posters. And when I grew up, we didn't fight with our friends over their political affiliation, or it wasn't even a topic. I would like for LC teachers to stick to teaching the subject matter for which they are trained to teach. I don't think that's asking a lot. I have a list at home a mile long, but I bought some examples. I won't use names. I have specific names, dates, exactly things that were said by teachers. The yearbook also. It's not about the student's year anymore. Whoever's on the yearbook staff, it's about their agenda. It's about pushing politics. It's about separate pages for kids based on their sexual orientation. It's ridiculous. I know so many people that aren't buying it anymore. This has come slowly, but this year was I think this year was the worst yet. There was a section bashing Trump, whether you like Trump or not. That's not appropriate for a yearbook. I don't know what's going on over here. What? Okay, separate sections. All right, then an English teacher. I'll just give a couple examples. And these may or may not bother you, but they bother me. English teacher, the same teacher. She can use anything to teach vocabulary, right? Or to teach whatever she's teaching. It was always political. She puts the amount of fraud in the 2020 election was, and the choices were 5 words that all meant minuscule, irrelevant, tiny. Why does she have to choose this political question? Because the same teacher did this all year long. And my kids would come home saying it's obvious what her affiliation is.
Mrs. Dubish, could I interrupt for a minute? Have you brought this concern to the building principal?
I've emailed Dr. Rocco on several occasions.
But have you talked to the building principal?
Yes, he is now retired. You mean Bagley, Sean Bagley?
I don't know.
Yes.
Well,
I talked to
okay.
him about the BLM march that I didn't find to be appropriate.
So I would say that, you know, if you find that these concerns continue to happen, then talk to your building principal, because that's really where the decision.
Pass a bylaw or a rule that teachers stick to teaching the subject they're
Well,
trained to
that
teach?
is our expectation, is that they
It's not happening.
stick.
And I'm talking.
But
from
then if you've got
Florida.
specific incidents, then you need to report it to the building levels so that they can deal with it. I think our new principal is here, Mrs. Novak. So those are the individuals that deal with that.
Okay, okay. Well, I have many specifics.
bring it to
So
them.
there's rules against it already then?
Well, it's an expectation, sure.
An expectation.
Right.
I would
And
like
so
it to be
if
a
the
formal rule.
expectation-
How do we get a formal rule? Keep politics out of the classroom.
Well, we
Let the
do.
parents teach them.
We do. But
I have 3 kids that have gone all the way up from Coaling on.
Tell the building
And they've
leaders,
been
so it can be
brainwashed
addressed.
from Clark on. I can't say any younger than that, but from Clark.
Bring it to the principals.
And it seems the English teachers are huge on doing it.
I don't know. She'll be able to help
Because
you.
I've got 3 kids, all the teachers' names, all the examples, they're stunning. When they had, one more good example. When there was a school shooting years back, when my kids were at Clark, they had this march against school violence, but really it wasn't. It was anti-Second Amendment. It was organized by activists.
I've heard about
anti-Second
that,
Amendment.
yes, I know.
The teachers were telling the kids, because my kids didn't go out, because I educated them. The teachers were telling them, come on, you can be on the news. Come on, go out, you can be on the news. This stuff should not be going on. Then the kids go out when they're being used. They're being used.
Well, that's your interpretation. I would say that all has to go back to your building level principalship for intervention.
Okay.
Thank
All right.
you. Our next speaker is Crystal Vera.
I apologize. As someone who's been intimately involved in the COVID pandemic from beginning and currently am still involved in, I arrived late and could not put my name to make the public comment, so I apologize. I will not revisit the specifics. I was actually in the middle of a patient care, so I was late and therefore I could not put my name on there, but the lady up there graciously allowed me to put my name on here at the end. I'm emotional about this because I'm saddened truly about what I saw tonight. I was very, very saddened last year when my husband pulled up the online school board meeting and what took place. And what really saddens me is up until the pandemic, I truly felt in the good of humanity and in this country, and for all of us to be united in our differences, to care about each other no matter what, to take care of each other no matter what we felt or how we felt. Through the pandemic and attending this board meeting tonight, I'm truly saddened and disappointed at what I saw. I would like to thank Dr. Veraco because it seems very apparent to me that he has been very tenacious in trying to review the data and do what's best for our children. I don't envy the school board's position. It must be very difficult. Sometimes, as an elected official, you must make the unpopular decision, not the popular decision, and not a decision based on whether you will be elected next time around or not. And your obligation is to protect all 100% of the children, not the majority. This country was based and founded on protecting everybody, including the minority. So I would like to publicly commend Dr. Veraco. I know he's done a lot and done a lot of research. I would like us as a community to unite. We are role models for our children. I was quite astounded at the foul language used. I don't think there should be foul language used. I think there should be some sort of decorum had here as we are representatives to our children. Our children look to us as role models. They look at our neighbors. They look at our people that we differ with as role models. My kids point out to me all the time how people act, and I want us as a community, whatever side we believe, to act with some sort of decorum and to have not to use foul language. As a member of the United States Navy Reserve, this kind of behavior where people were heckling and not respecting people's time, whether the board or people of all opinions, and screaming and shouting and not allowing them to be heard. Great achievements come through disagreements. Great achievements in science and medicine and public health measures, which all of you will go to if you're ill. You will go to a hospital and seek the help of those people who've dedicated their lives to take care of people. You will not sit at home and die. Those people, those achievements were brought about by science, by research, by dedication, and a lot of times disagreements. Disagreements bring about change. Disagreements bring about great improvements in our culture. That is why we're one of the best nations in the entire world. Everybody looks to us. That's because this is what we do. We disagree, and great achievements come about. I ask this school board to understand that all data can be interpreted. The internet is both amazing and frightening. You can find any data that you want, and you can twist any data and any research any way you want to. But I can tell you there's evidence, and then there's anecdotal. Sometimes we don't have enough evidence, and we have to operate off of history. History gives us great lessons. Both the Spanish flu pandemic, going back to smallpox, all kinds of things. If you look back at history, if you look back at our public health system, everything, our modern day health and wellness is based off of history.
I'm sorry to interrupt. You're going to have to finish up, please.
I appreciate your
Thank you.
time. I would like all of you guys to please remember that, and I implore my community that our next meeting, that we please respect each other and speak kindly and let everyone be heard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sherry Wittig?
I've been a teacher before, taught 3rd and 4th grade, and I actually moved out of my home because they put up a cell phone tower, which I had done a lot of online studying, said that it could be bad for my health. So I took action, and ever since 2019, the towers have been put up, and I know a lot of people have been getting sick. So I just want to say, if we are concerned with health and safety, we need to be asking additional questions about what else could be cutting our oxygen and lowering our percentage. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy O'Brien?
Hi. Thank you. I was more concerned about what the position was going to be for Lake Central in regards to promoting or not promoting vaccination in the high school environment. Has that been discussed within the district?
Well, I think we addressed it in the plan that, you know, we haven't really promoted it. If someone asked me my personal opinion, I personally would support it as a protective measure, but other than having an event here for staff to make it convenient for them, where we have vaccinated about 300 staff members, we haven't set up any schools as clinics or anything like that. The county, I think, did a commendable job on having plenty of places for people who wanted access to vaccine without utilizing schools.
Okay. I would encourage that the school district be neutral. I think this is a volatile subject. I think parents have different expectations. I think there's conflicting data. I think people can find different data. And I think it really needs to be left to the families to decide and to educate themselves with their doctors. I would really encourage the district to try and stay as neutral as possible in this matter and leave it with the families where it probably should be. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa Hodges? Hi.
One of the things that I noticed in your protocols was that unless you're a vaccinated parent, you can't help in the school or attend class parties. But the second bullet says that everyone has to wear a mask if they enter the building. So is there a way that we can get rid of the first bullet, keep the second if people are more comfortable with unvaccinated parents wearing masks, but you're saying a whole population can't attend school parties, so that's my concern.
I mean, there's some items on there that had some questions for me too, and so I imagine we'll be discussing some of them and trying to wean them out. Now, Dr. Rocco and I were talking about that. So that's all we can do.
Okay, so it
Yeah.
will be addressed though, and there will be an opportunity to.
Well, I imagine that I'll reach out to the board members and Dr. Rocco about talking about some of these items that are on here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that is the end of our public comments. With that, we will move on to board comments and consideration of future agenda items. Mr. Marshall.
I think enough has been said from this microphone for the evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Kelly.
Just want to say good luck to our staff and students on the first day of school next week.
Thank you. Dr. Medlin.
No comment.
Dr. Malco.
Well, we've got to remember to stay positive. We've got to be good role models. Not everyone got their way tonight. There's a lot of emotions that were in the room, and we need to bury that and just move forward and be a united team. We need to continue to do everything we can to mitigate and do whatever. And then if we get to a point where we are being infected, then we have to be willing to respond to that need. That's the thing that I fear, is that people will not be respectful of that event when it occurs. If it gets to a red level and we need to mask, I'm so afraid that some of our individuals will not cooperate with us, and that's a big fear for me. So I'm looking to you as being leaders that you can get that message out that, there may come a time where you have to be responsive to the needs of the school corporation. And ma'am, I'm sorry, I disagree with you. My decision tonight wasn't made so that I can be reelected for school board. I was really just looking at the data that I could find specifically for the Tri-Town area. Oh, I know, yeah. Got it. Okay, I understand now, thank you. I misunderstood you, no need. I misunderstood you. Thank you. That's it.
So I just also would like to wish everyone a very nice first back-to-school day, and that's all I have for comments this evening. So we'll move on to board calendar, future activities. Dr. Baracco.
So I first got to remind everybody about the St. John Corn Roast on Friday. We host that event at Clark Middle School. Rob Sues, the Master of Ceremonies, is in the room, I see. And it's a fun time, and we appreciate it because all the proceeds, all the profits go to scholarships, mostly for Lake Central High School. They give a little bit to Hanover too, but that's okay. It benefits children, and so if you are so inclined, come out and join us on Friday at Clark from 4 to 8. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we call for adjournment, please.
So moved.
We have a motion by Dr. Malco.
Second.
Second by Ms. Kelly. All in favor? Aye.